What was it like dealing with the city to get something like this done, you know?
Well, I mean, there's a backstory to this, right? So this house is 11 years in the making.
Right.
And this really, I mean, since 2009, I was starting to sketch out ideas for the back of this property. And Gabe and I went to architecture school together. We've known each other since undergrad. And Laneway housing has been something that's always really, really interesting to us, and I think a lot of people in the design community. And so back in 2009, I had drawn up some initial ideas, and I still remember going into the counter of the city to say, hey, I'm interested in exploring this, and they just had no idea what was going on. But, the lady at the counter couldn't understand what this was. She said, well, wait a minute, I don't understand. Where's the house? Wait, is this behind the house? Like, there's no front. She was completely baffled by this. Obviously that's changed, and there was greater adoption over time. And when did we go to the C of A? That was
2017.
So 2017, we decided that we knew that the new laneway policies were coming, and we said, you know what? There's a sentiment change right now. Things are starting to evolve. Why don't we take our project? We'll go to the C of A, and we can see if we can get something approved. That design was different than this. So it was actually 2.5 stories. So it was taller. It was 2 bedrooms, 2 bath. There was going to be a little rooftop terrace. So rooftop terrace on top with a bedroom on top. And so it was taller and had more density to it. The entire community was opposed to that. So there was a petition that was signed. The councillor ultimately, at the last minute, the night before the C of A hearing, basically submitted a letter saying he would not support it, and so it was refused. So there's a backstory to this house. This particular design is fully as of right. So, it shows you how much has changed in the last, 11, 12 years.
That's sort of since the blanket upzoning or whatever.
Yeah.
To change.
Yeah, so now it's as of right. So, I mean, the biggest challenge here was getting urban forestry to sign off, which just took time. It took probably 3 or 4 months for us to get them to sign off on this idea of having a floating house on piers in the tree protection zone. But once that was satisfied, when did we file for permits? Probably July.
Yeah, it was pretty quick after that.
6 weeks we got permits,
Right.
completely as of right. So it's a very different scenario or situation now compared to what it was initially back in 2009. So the big thing too, when you go in, you'll see this, but you can see the tree through here.
Yeah.
So that's the whole reason that this house is on piers.
And that tree, the tree protection zone, is essentially the entire lot.
So the idea is that you drill the piles in and it hopefully doesn't hit the
So
roof.
we had the arborist here while we're drilling the piers, and he would check if there was a root there. So actually, because Brandon and I were here while they were drilling those, we were like saying, "Oh, move it a few inches."
Yeah.
It was kind of working, and then having the engineer on the other line, calling and making sure we can actually move it a few inches.
And how many piles is it on our piers?
I think there's 8. 8 or 9?
Yeah.
You guys are both developers and architects. I mean, the regulations have changed for about 2 years now. Do you think this is going to be a continuing trend for the city, where folks like you who are property owners would consider doing this? And that there'll be a lot of projects like this popping up for people who want to make a rental income or have a second dwelling that isn't a basement?
Yeah. No, 100%. 100%. There's every year we're going to see the number of permits go up. I mean, Gabe, you're working on a ton of projects, right?
Yeah, and all the projects now are, if there's a laneway, there's always the laneway house component. People are really understanding that. And even like through this project, another project that I'm doing now, like the neighbors are entering into agreements with each other to allow, because you need the emergency access